Hi guys, welcome back to TOEFL with Juva. In the TOEFL, there are several tasks where you need to talk about what another person says. And it's really important that you do not only use the verb to say when talking about that, because this way you won't get a high TOEFL score. If you want a high score in the TOEFL, you must use different verbs to express what somebody says. Today I'm going to show you 16 verbs that you can use instead of to say. By the way, if you want to get more tips about the TOEFL and if you want to download templates, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss the next video. Let's get started, guys! In TOEFL Speaking and in Task 1 in TOEFL Writing, you need to talk about what another person says. For example, in TOEFL Speaking, there is the campus announcement task. In this task, a student talks about his opinion regarding an announcement. So you need to explain what the student's opinion is, and this means that you need to explain what the student is saying. So the question is, which other verbs can you use instead of to say? For example, you can use the verb to state. Maybe you remember it. I used this verb in the speaking template that I gave you guys. If you haven't watched the video about the speaking template yet, have a look at that. You can find the link in the description below. Of course, there are also many other verbs that you can use instead of to say. For example, you can use believe, think, or remark. You should definitely use these verbs when talking about what another person is saying, because this way you show ETS that you know a lot of synonyms for to say. In TOEFL Speaking, in the campus announcement task, it can happen that the student says that he thinks that one of his arguments is really important. And if this is the case, guys, you should definitely express that the student thinks that one of his arguments is really crucial. In this case, you should use verbs such as to point out. For example, you could say, the student points out that, and go on with the argument that the student provides. Other verbs you can use in this case are to emphasize, highlight, or to stress. I really like the verb to highlight because I think that this verb is really easy to remember. Because perhaps you know that there is a pen that is called highlighter. This is the pen that you use when you want to highlight things on paper. So whenever you want to talk about that a person is pointing something out, you can remember, okay, there is something that is called highlighter. This is the pen that I can use for highlighting stuff. And then it will be really easy for you to remember that another verb that you can use is to highlight. But these verbs are not the only verbs that you should use in the TOEFL. They are not sufficient. For example, in Task 1 in TOEFL Writing, you need to talk about the arguments that a writer and a lecturer make. And normally, the lecturer opposes the arguments of the writer, and you need to write about that. So in this case, you need other verbs. You need verbs for arguing, and you need verbs to express that a person opposes the arguments of another person. Let's first have a look at verbs that you can use if somebody argues for something. Of course, you can use the verb to argue. Perhaps you remember that I used this verb in the template for the integrated task in TOEFL Writing that I gave you guys. Of course, there are also other verbs that you can use instead of to argue. For example, you can use hold, maintain, or climb. Now let's have a look at verbs that you can use if you want to express that one person opposes the arguments of another person. For example, you can use to challenge, call into question, reject, or refute. That's it. These are 16 verbs that you can use in the TOEFL instead of to say. If you like, download the illustration. You can find the link in the description below. Of course, if you have any questions or a video wish, tell me about that in the comments below. I love to hear about that. And if you found this video helpful and if you want to know more about the TOEFL, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss the next video. I'd love to see you here next time. Bye bye!